Have you ever met someone who thinks that they're entitled or deserves to know every little thing that's going on in your life? You're not alone because I am certainly familiar with that. And today's topic is not everyone deserves a front row seat to your life. Let's get into it. Welcome back to She's Probably Talking to Other Guys. I'm your host, Annie of the Banana Diaries, and I'm so excited you're here for episode 3. Last week was all about red flags, green flags, assumptions that could be made in dating, friendships, relationships in general. There was so much that we went through that I'm going to do a part 2 to that episode because I felt like doors just kept opening as the episode kept going on. So I'm going to dive into that much deeper in a few more weeks. So stay tuned. I'll make an announcement for when part 2 of that episode is happening. But for now, let's dive into not everyone deserves a front row seat to your life. As always, just a friendly reminder, I'm not a therapist, a psychologist, or an expert in human behavior. Everything shared here is based on personal experience, opinions, and conversations over coffee with friends. If you're struggling with something deeper, I always encourage chatting with a licensed professional. This is a judgment free, assumption checking zone. So take what resonates with you and leave the rest. What does it mean to give a front row seat to your life? There are obviously a lot of different avenues we can explore just in trying to define what that means. So, we're going to go through just a few general ideas. So, starting with friendships. So, friendships and social circles. We can kind of go with the idea that maybe your friends from high school still want to know everything that's going on, but maybe you're not the same person as you were back then that you are now, and oversharing might not be your thing, or maybe there's something judgy you feel when you tell some of these people what's going on. There are so many different reasons why maybe we don't want to tell someone something. I feel that it's very individual, but friendships, I think that sometimes the longer they go on, maybe people just assume, there's our word, that they should know everything because maybe you also used to share everything and then you kind of took a step back, whether it was on purpose or not. I know that that's happened for me before, where just for whatever reason, I kind of like took a break from talking to someone so much. And I don't know that there was ever a specific reason. Sometimes there were like very clear reasons, but sometimes I just will go on and notice that it's been like a week since I've texted like a certain person. And then I just kind of check in. But I think that when it comes to a social circle that has a lot of gossip, notice I said like social circle because for me, I have like a very clear definition of like a social circle versus a friendship. Maybe you don't, that's totally okay, to each their own. But there are certain social circles where I won't bring up certain topics because I know that maybe it's going to make me feel bad, or maybe it's not going to be well received by talking about this conversation with certain people. I mean, it's all very different in an individual, but I think that when it comes to friendships and social circles, everybody has their own level of what they want to share with them. Uh, family. Family can be absolutely wild. I know some people who literally tell their mother everything. I personally don't. I don't know. I don't. Not that there's anything wrong with it if I did. I'm just not someone who's going to tell like my mom every little intimate personal detail of my life. Like, she likes to ask a lot of questions. She knows that. And if she ever hears this portion, I don't know what she's going to say. But I have like very clear boundaries and I do not overshare with my family whatsoever. It's just always how I have been. Um, when it comes, I would say, to like dating and stuff, my best friend's mom definitely knows more than my own mom does. I don't know. But family boundaries can be really hard. And I think that a lot of times family just expects you to tell them everything. because like your family, but it's hard because sometimes they still don't have the same perspective. And maybe you're going to feel judged if you share stuff with them. Maybe you have like completely different ideas on a topic than someone else in your family does. So I think that family can be a touchy subject when it comes to what you share with them. I think that family also feels a bit more that they can just say whatever they want to say and you're going to receive it well. I think that's just a general assumption in my mind, anyway, is that your family, so you should accept what they say and you should accept it well and like accept that it's right. Anyway, that's just my thought on it. You know that I have to touch on social media. In the age of social media, I mean, people say, if it wasn't on social media, did it even happen? There are some people who share what we think is every single detail of their lives, but we don't know because we don't actually know these people. I mean, if you do, you know, maybe if they're sharing everything or if they're not, but I don't think that necessarily everyone could possibly share everything. I think that that would literally mean that they go like 24 hours on their phone without ever putting it down. I think that I would find it incredibly hard to share literally every detail of my life on social media. Um, I think that when people get used to you sharing so much, they just expect that it's always going to be there. Personally, my content on social media, it is a lot about my life, but I also have moments where maybe I want to focus on beauty for a little bit. Maybe I want to focus on a day in my life. Maybe I want to share my coffee order with you or what I'm up to if I'm traveling. I couldn't say that I consistently share the same content every day or every week or every month because I know that I don't. I share what feels right to me in the moment that it feels right to share it. Social media makes it tricky because sometimes, let's say, like our favorite celebrity, right? Or I'm going to use this example when a celebrity has a child, a lot of fans assume that they're entitled to know, oh my gosh, what's the name of their child? What does their child look like? Why aren't they sharing pictures of their child? This and that. And I feel like that can be a really common assumption when it comes to feeling entitled to know more about someone's life. Um, I don't know. For some reason, that example just popped into my head. I think that when it comes to like certain celebrities, people expect that they should be able to know every single thing about them. I don't agree with the phrase of social media isn't real. I just think social media isn't the full picture. So I don't like the phrase about social media isn't real personally because my social media is very real. It is showing you products that I use. It's showing you moments in my life. And for me, those are real moments. I show you moments when I don't have makeup on and when I look like a hot mess. I show you moments when I think I look really pretty. And I want to put that out there, right? Because it makes me feel good. And I want to inspire others to put that out there as well. So for me, it's not that social media isn't real. It's that you're not getting the entire picture because I'm not sharing the entire picture. And not in a negative aspect, not in like in I'm trying to be secretive sort of way. One of them is boundaries. I need to have my own hobbies that are mine and mine only, right? And that is nothing against anyone. That is just me and what I've discovered through content. I don't personally want to take a week off from creating content. I don't personally want to like have to check out for a week or 2 weeks to take a break from content. I want to just choose what I'm sharing and then be able to have like an hour or two every day where I'm doing something that nobody is going to see on social media. And again, not in a shady way. Just there are some things that I want to have private in my life, and everyone's entitled to that, which goes right into the whole theme of not everyone gets a front row seat to your life. Social media is like a really tricky one, though, I will say. And I have to admit that I have met actually more people recently within like the past year or two who don't even have social media. Like I'm talking no Facebook, no Instagram. Like there is no social media. They just don't use it. I don't know. Maybe it's a vibe. I'm not really sure. I can't imagine my life without social media. Let's move into work and professional life. You are not alone if you've had a nosy boss or nosy coworkers who literally want to know everything there is to know about your life. Trust me, like from a personal perspective, I know. Like my privacy has been invaded so aggressively in a workplace setting. Let's talk for a minute if you're job hunting. I don't think you need to tell your boss. That's just my personal opinion. I don't think that they need to know. Maybe if it gets really serious, right? I mean, it's so respectful, I believe, to give like a 2 week notice, but maybe you just don't want to say anything unless it's going to be serious because maybe you're just looking around and you're afraid of what's going to happen if they find out, but then it doesn't work out for you to move on, right? So I get that for sure. Um, I think that when coworkers are gossiping, some people are gossiping because they want to gossip, and some people are genuinely like your work friends. But there is still a level of what you should share and what you maybe don't want to share. We're going to dive into this with a few examples later on. Family is like a very touchy subject. Emotional closeness can sometimes matter more than the people that you're literally related to. I know people, like, I joke that I have like a dance mom, right? Or I have like dance aunts, things like that. These are people who have become part of my family because like I trust them like so much. Um, I have a dance dad. Like these are just people who took me under their wing and made me feel like I wanted to call them mom or dad. So I feel like, and it's not because of anything from my parents, but I just think that there are like you come across these people that are just so good for you and your life that you just want them in it. I turned my volume off on my computer so my little ding doesn't happen again. I have my notes still because remember, I'm like trying to stay on track. The whole point with family is that just because they're family doesn't mean they get to know every single detail about you. Unless you like it that way and you want to share. Remember, this is like a no judgment zone. All right. Let's move into some common assumptions that people might think or assumptions people make when they think they should know everything about you. So, number one is if I've known you forever, I should know everything about you. So, first of all, I believe that the length of your relationship doesn't necessarily mean that they're close enough to know everything there is to know about you. Now, my best friend and I, we couldn't literally be any closer than we are. I joke that like she does literally know everything about me, but when it comes to like everything, it's not possible for me to literally share everything with her. But when it comes to like other friendships, I sometimes like I get just good vibes from people and I can open up more to them like 10 times faster than someone that I know or have known for like 10 years. Someone, I don't know, maybe I'd have to actually like look at when we met, like 2 to 3 years ago, maybe we met. Also, by the way, he doesn't know this yet, but it's like one of my goals that he's going to be on my podcast. So we're manifesting that I can convince him. And when it actually happens, I'll acknowledge that he was the person that I was talking about. But I met him and we just like hit it off, and he was a very comfortable person to talk to, and I could also just tell like what a good human he is. So for him, like sometimes I tell him stuff that I haven't like told my family, or that I haven't told like some of my other friends that I have known for so much longer. I don't know. I just think that when you meet someone, sometimes like these friendships can just come out of literally nowhere. And I don't know, he's been like a very good person, like a very, very good addition to my life, especially from a mental perspective and helping me with ballroom dancing and like the mental craziness of all of that as well. He's someone where I can definitely attest to the idea that the length of knowing someone has no correlation to how much you're actually going to share with them. I think also something else to point out is like sometimes people from your past, like they just don't grow into your future. And sometimes it's in a negative light, sometimes that's in a positive light. Sometimes friendships just end because you're not the same person that you were, and that's okay. Sometimes unfortunately they end in more of like a negative manner, and that's why this person didn't grow with you into your life. But I think that growth is a positive thing for me. Like, regardless, like when you can find the growth within yourself, like in how you've handled the situation, I always feel like that's definitely a huge plus. So, maybe you've known them forever, but they didn't grow with you, and now they don't get to know everything about you. And I think that that's okay. Number two, if you told me once, you owe me every update. I feel like I don't know that I can personally think of like a very specific example, but I get this one. If I've gone to someone and shared something, it wasn't over, or whatever I shared with them was a to be continued kind of idea. Maybe I went to them for advice and I wanted to know what I should do next, and then they wanted me to like report back. I think that that's something that I've experienced. It's hard, I think, especially depending on how you know the person, to be, oh, well, I'm not going to give you updates on that same topic. Like, maybe you talked with a coworker about like a relationship once, or some like relationship drama, and then they started like continually asking you about it after that because you shared it once. Like, why wouldn't you share it again, kind of thing. Maybe something I can relate with was I shared something with someone who I thought was going to get it, but their response was the complete opposite of what I thought it was going to be. And then I didn't want to share it with them anymore. For whatever reason, maybe it made me uncomfortable. Maybe their response was like so negative and not like the support I was looking for. Um, I think that there's a lot of reasons you maybe don't want to tell someone something again. And it can also literally just be that, like, maybe there's just nothing else to share about it. Maybe once you said something once, the next time it happened, whatever it was, or the next time you felt like it would be time to share it, like, just maybe there wasn't anything to share, or maybe your desire to share it was just gone. That is highly possible. Let's move into the concept of family equals full access. Now, again, this is like so individual because everyone's family is different. There are some families who expect to know everything. I know some people who tell their parents literally everything that goes on in their life. Some of it just because they tell them for an update, some of it they're used to telling them every single thing. Some of them gossip with their parents. I mean, the situation is literally completely different for everyone. I'm more of a person where I'm not necessarily like running to share every little detail with my parents. I'm just, that's how I've always been. I have like a few people that I tell things to, and everything else is kind of like, if you ask me, maybe I'll tell you. I don't know. I've never personally had to deal with a family equals full access, just from what my friends have told me. Their family wants to know everything, and they expect you to be here, be there. This is the time, this is when. If you're not there, how dare you? Right? Um, so I definitely get it from what people have told me, whether their family just wants to know everything or they feel like they're on the like edge of being incredibly nosy. And again, that thought that because they're family that there's no boundaries, they can ask you anything regardless of what it's about. Number 4, you've changed, you're hiding something. I've dealt with this, I think, like after I found out that I shouldn't be sharing something with people. Like, for me personally, this comes from like The way I can relate to this is from more of like a negative aspect, unfortunately. I shared something with someone and I learned very quickly that it was just a bad idea to share it with this specific person. Whether it was whatever the topic was about, or I just caught this person in a mood. Sometimes I have like put up a wall. So if you respond to me in a way where I'm like, I don't think I want to share this with you ever again. I know for a fact like I didn't cut these people off right away, but I stopped going to them based on what their reaction was when I was looking for advice or looking for help on something. I've definitely had to deal with that. You're hiding something, because I wasn't hiding anything. I just didn't want to talk to you about that specific topic anymore because you had a really negative reaction. But I also knew that if I was straightforward and said that like directly to these specific people, they would have like totally taken it so personally, and like that I was being mean, I guess is the way that I could say it. So I've definitely dealt with the you're hiding something aspect of it. It's not cool, but like we're going to discuss boundaries later on. So I'm going to move off of this one for now. You're cold or you're distant if you don't vent everything to me. That one, I couldn't say that I've necessarily found anything personally relatable to that. I think that if someone is like processing something, that maybe they're just like not processing it out loud. Maybe a situation happened, whether it was at the workplace or just going on about your everyday life, and they're just processing what happened and they're not ready to talk about it yet. Or maybe they're processing it as like a learning experience so it doesn't happen again, and they've learned their lesson. They want to forget about it. I mean, that is like very like possible that someone just doesn't want to talk about something. And it doesn't mean that you're being distant or you're being cold. I mean, I'm sure some people are when it comes to this, but that's not what it has to mean. I have friends who are like, okay, you get 5 minutes to vent about work, and after that, like, you are cut off. Not because like they don't want to hear about it anymore, but because sometimes you need to let it out and then you need to move on. So you don't simmer on it, and then you're not overthinking it, and then you're not just like so focused on this same problem over and over again. Sometimes you just let it out, you get cut off, and then you're done. Number 6, if you don't respond fast, you're being rude. We touched on this a little bit last week in the red flag episode. So I personally don't feel like there's a correlation between the speed of your response to a text or maybe a phone call and necessarily comparison to where you hold that person in regards to your life, especially being someone who works a lot on their phone. I can tell you 100%, my phone is on silent majority of my life. It is on silent to the point where when you go to my little green messages icon, it doesn't even give a number to how many text messages are waiting for me to reply. I don't know if someone has sent me a text unless I actually open the app and see it for myself. That's the level of silence my phone is on for a few reasons. I was getting way too distracted and sidetracked for a while when I had notifications on. My response has nothing to do with being rude, because I literally sometimes just don't know that you've texted me because I'm working. And when I'm working, even though I'm on my phone, I don't know that you've texted me. Like, I do that on purpose in order for me not to get sidetracked while I'm working. There have for sure been times where I will have my phone in my hand, it'll be ringing, and I watch it go to voicemail. Not because I'm being rude, because again, I'm in the middle of something, or maybe I don't have the answer for this person yet, but I really want to have the answer for them like the next time I talk to them or when I do answer the phone. There's a lot of different reasons I think that I will watch the phone call go to voicemail. But it definitely doesn't have anything to do with being rude. And we talked about this again last week, where sometimes people are just slow responding for whatever reason. Everybody lives their own lives. We all have different schedules. We're all in the middle of something. Maybe someone's driving and they're not answering because they're driving. There are literally so many different reasons why there could be a slow response. When it comes to instant availability, it doesn't necessarily have a correlation to respect because, again, I think that everyone's responding when they can. Everyone is doing their best, living their lives, doing what they need to do, and they respond when they respond. I don't think that instant availability has to do with respect. I think that there are plenty of reasons as to why someone is not responding right away. Number 7, I support you, so I deserve to know what's going on. If you have someone who maybe is constantly there from you, maybe they're just assuming that you should be updating them on what's going on because they've offered so much support. Again, I think that it's a tricky one because I'm always grateful that people are there supporting me. To me, like, I support you, so I deserve to know what's going on. That has a negative tone to it for me because when I hear that assumption, it means that they're only supporting you so they can know what's going on in your life. The only reason they're there to support you is because they want information from you. That's kind of more where my brain jumps to that. Again, based on personal experience. I had a lot of people just in the past who were claiming that they were there for me and this and that and da 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 da. All because they wanted to kind of like keep track of my every move and know my every thought and try to be like 10 steps ahead of me. So for me, I see that assumption in like a very like negative light, unfortunately, because I think that if you truly support someone, you want the best for them, and you may not get an update on what's going on, or maybe you'll get one like 6 months later, but I don't feel that support means that you deserve it. I think that the person's going to come to you if they choose to. Um, and I also don't think that that doesn't mean that they like don't appreciate the support. I just think that the support has to be coming from like a genuine and authentic place. Like, I love my best friend to pieces. I've said this before, like, you guys know this. I support her no matter what, and I want her to know what's happy. Like, I want her to be so, so happy, but I never feel like I deserve to know what's going on in her life just because she's my best friend. She's going to tell me when she's going to tell me. She's going to update me when she's going to update me. And until that happens, she knows that she has my full support and I love her. Number 8, you're posting online but not texting back. One, there are some times when like I will schedule my posts in advance. So I'm not actually online. My post has been scheduled in advance. If we go for a minute to something that's posted on my website for the podcast, I'm going to quote it as best as I can. Something along the lines of like, from now on, assuming makes a beep out of you and no one else. And I think that that's just so funny when, if I don't respond to somebody, but they saw me online and then they say something like, mm-mm, not about that energy. It also kind of reminds me in a sense of like, this could totally be a whole episode all on its own, but like low maintenance versus high maintenance friendships type of vibe. There were people that would reach out to me and be like, "You're not texting me back. You don't love me anymore. Da 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 da. But I see that you're online. I see that you're posting and you're not texting me." Like, that's not my vibe. And I feel like it goes along perfectly with this episode. Like, just because I'm online doesn't mean that I am available in this moment to be responding. I think you're allowed to share parts of your life, but still protect like your energy, right? So if I'm not in a good mental space, or if I don't have the time for this conversation that I know that I need for this conversation, I'm not going to start it unless I can like begin and end exactly where it needs to within like a proper amount of time. Personally, posting online and then not responding right away has like zero correlation. We're going to go through a few workplace specific assumptions. Some of these were just common ones when I was looking for some, and some of them that are common, like I can personally relate to. So the first one is, you look tired. Are you okay? I can't stand when someone tells me that I look tired. First of all, it's probably because I am. Second of all, you don't need to point it out. I am aware. I looked in the mirror. I know how I feel. Please do not draw attention to it by commenting on it. Keep your thoughts to yourself. I just think that like commenting on someone's appearance in the workplace is just like not necessary whatsoever. Next one, why don't you ever share what's going on in your life? This one can go so many different ways. Personally, like my relation to this one is, if I thought that someone was like considered like a work friend, right? Or I saw someone as like respectable mentor kind of idea. Um, I would share, but then sometimes the response just wouldn't be a positive one. Like, there's a difference between hearing someone out and giving constructive feedback or giving constructive advice on what someone can do. And then there's like the difference between just responding in such a negative tone and like, why would you ever think that? Why would you ever say that? Or like, such a bad idea, stuff like that, this and that. And it's not that like I wanted anyone to ever sugarcoat stuff. It's just sometimes the reactions would be like so flip that I just didn't want to share with them anymore. So then they would start to get nosy and try to figure out like if something was wrong because I didn't want to share anymore. So sometimes it just wasn't worth my peace or my energy to really like deal with it. I just wouldn't share anything with these specific people anymore. And I don't think anyone should ever feel that you have to share anything with your coworkers or your bosses or your managers. I don't think that you should ever feel that you have to. Maybe you want to, and that's a different story. But I don't think that anyone should ever feel like you have to. Some people are just there to get a paycheck, and that's okay. People are working for the reasons that they need to, and that's okay. And a lot of times, it is really no one's business. You're leaving on time every day. You must not be that dedicated. I truly don't like this assumption at all. There was a time where I would say yes to everything. There was no overtime, there was no payment for this. There was the expectation that we would stay for hours. Like, we were done around 9, I think, and that night we were still going at 1 a.m. and we literally just like turned it into a pizza party for ourselves because it was ridiculous and it kept happening in like different ways. We were made to feel so bad and like we were made to feel like such a bad employees if we didn't. And like, what a mind game. I was going to say something else, but I'm trying to not swear because I don't want to come back in and beep stuff, but it was such a mind game. And it took me way too long to start saying no. But as soon as I started saying no, it was like I wasn't a team player. Nothing that I had ever done mattered because I had just said no in this moment. So if you're leaving on time and people are saying stuff about you, if you did what you needed to do and you are great, you are a solid employee, you are dedicated, like, claps to you. You're doing good. Don't listen to them if they're starting rumors because that's not very nice of them. All right, last one. You didn't come to the office happy hour. Are you antisocial? So I never really had an office happy hour. Also, I think I mentioned in a previous episode, I don't drink alcohol anymore. Just a personal choice. So I most likely like wouldn't really go anyway. But some of my friends who have like regularly scheduled happy hours, some of them love it and they go every single time. Some of them like literally couldn't be bothered. Whether it's because they just don't feel like it, they really don't want to like engage with coworkers or bosses or managers like after hours anyway. They'd rather like do things with their own out of work friends and things like that. I think that this is like so like such a bad assumption, like to assume someone's antisocial because they don't want to go to happy hour. Um, or like I would be made to feel bad sometimes if someone invited me like to go out to eat afterwards, like a group invited me to go out after eat, but like if a group invited me to go out to eat after hours, like but I already had plans, so I would say no and then it would like be made they would be making me feel bad because I had plans when they invited me last minute. Like, no, that's not how this works. You're not going to make me feel bad. You invited me last minute. I think, again, all of this kind of has to do with your circle, too, though. Like, where are you working? Who are you, like, surrounded by? Are these people really your friends? Like, I think there's so much that goes into these assumptions. I feel like this could literally be, like, a whole episode all in itself, just talking about, like, workplace assumptions. But yeah, if you are true to yourself and you are there, you do your thing. Like, I'm clapping for you. You don't need to share with people that you don't want to share with, especially in the workplace. May your boundaries be strong. That was a lot of assumptions that we covered from like personal friendships, family, workplace. That was a lot. So we're moving into defining the difference between boundaries and being closed off. So boundaries are more, this is kind of like a summary of kind of like my idea of a boundary. So a healthy expression of what you will and won't allow. These are based on self-awareness, self-respect, and emotional clarity. So that's kind of like my own summary of a definition of boundaries. Being closed off, to me, that is like just you're not even willing to entertain it, whatever it may be. Like you are just not about it, not interested. If someone tries to talk to you about it, like you're just like stone cold. Um, to me, like being closed off, it stems from something that happened and you are just like completely done. Like for me, like a boundary, someone can still approach you with something and you'll still say yes or no. Like you'll decide if it's a like if it fits within the boundaries that you've set up for yourself. But to me, being closed off, like this person knows better than to even like try to ask you for whatever it might be. Um, I think that sometimes when it comes to boundaries, it's very easy for people to criticize boundaries, first of all. I noticed that when I started setting up more and more boundaries just in my life, when it came to people I would interact with, or when it came to like situations and what I wanted to allow into my life anymore and what I didn't. It definitely like shook things up a bit, and I had to deal with questions from people, like the typical like do you not like me anymore kind of thing. Boundaries and setting them are completely different for everyone. I'm someone where I learned the hard way. There are definitely some situations and some people that I am like closed off 100%, like don't try me, because I'm not going to answer. And some of those people are blocked. Like I have blocked numbers. I have, when people have found me on social media, like I have blocked them. If there is an ex who like way crossed the line, like you are blocked. that is like closed off to me. Like those people don't have boundaries. Those people are closed off. And I think that just everyone is so different and it's so individual, but you need to do what's best for you at the end of the day. And it's hard, especially when it comes to maybe putting up a boundary with somebody that you see every day. I want to invite you to kind of think about who deserves a front row seat to your life. Who is going to be able to know more about you because you want them to know more about you? Someone who is respectful of you, respectful of your time, doesn't assume they just get to know everything. I want you to think about it and comment. Maybe there are people who know everything. Maybe there's a lot of people who know everything. Maybe there are people who literally don't know anything. But you need to do what's best for you at the end of the day. And it is so hard to know sometimes who you should share with, who you shouldn't share with. But you need to do what is going to make you feel good and make you happy. I am really excited for next week. The title is Sorry Not Sorry for Being High Maintenance. We are going to go through assumptions that are made about people being high maintenance, what they say, what being high maintenance means, and we are going to take this apart. I'm actually really, really excited for this. I know I say like I'm excited for everything. I'm still very excited about this podcast. So thank you so much for tuning in. Follow, subscribe. I cannot wait to talk with you next week.